We going. Natalie, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. First off, I want to thank you. Like we were just speaking briefly, and I was telling you how much your sobriety story inspired me, and thank you for wanting to sit down and tell your story after I shot you the text, and you so politely say yes. I am extremely grateful to sit down and do this with you, man. I truly believe your story will help those people who sitting at home right now and they really don't know yet, right, about which direction they trying to go. So I'm gonna shut up for a second, and I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Natalie Randall. I am 7 years sober, and I got sober in the AA rooms, and I stayed there for about a year. But then after that, I mainly stayed sober through mental therapy and going to group therapy and just building that bond with my therapist. And he is what has helped me stay on the straight and narrow.
Word, that's solid. Yeah, I think that's what drew me to you. We connected via like Clubhouse and IG, and you came through and was like, "Yo, let's do this." Like you got the Sobriety Clubhouse popping, and you changing the impact on a lot of people's lives already. Like you've been a blessing to mine and so many others. And I was reading something you put online about your mother and father. So do want to send my condolences to you.
Thank
Um,
you.
I was reading through it, and it was like, man, her upbringing sounded so much like mine, right? Like I just connected to it automatically. So if you wouldn't mind, like run us through, like how was it for you growing up?
Yeah, growing up, I went to a private Christian school my whole life. I went to the same school from 6 weeks old until I graduated. I graduated with 17 people. It was a private Christian school. My parents are pastors. Well, my mom was a pastor, as was my father. So literally all I remember from a lot of my childhood is going to church, going to Sunday school, being at church on Wednesdays, Sundays, Saturdays, rehearsals for choir. Basically there pretty much every day. And if I was not there every day, I was at my grandma's house being babysat while my parents were at church. So that was a staple in my life, and especially going to a Christian school where church attendance was required. We had to bring notes from church. We had chapel in school. That was every Tuesday. Um, so I 100% have been raised with a Christian background, spirituality, a higher power. That's always been a thing for me. But as I got older and I got into my teenage years, and I would say actually my senior year of high school, because I was actually pretty straight edge. Um, I was team abstinence, team no drinking alcohol until I'm 21, no drugs, none of that. And the people around me were doing it. And I used to be pretty judgmental. I was like, I can't believe you're doing this. You know better. And I didn't even make it a case about God. I just made it a case of like, we're not stupid. Like, that dare program that came to our school, I don't know if they do that anymore, but we had the dare program come to our school, talk to us, and I took it seriously. I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, I don't want to end up like these people who they brought in. And I mean, I did want to obviously obey God, but I also didn't want to embarrass my parents, because they're I saw teen pregnancies, not at my school, because if you would have gotten pregnant at my school, you'd be kicked out. If you were gay, you were kicked out. It was one of those schools. Um, so I just didn't want to embarrass them. And then when I got to my senior year is of high school is when I started to loosen up a little bit. And I remember reading this book about this girl whose name was Natalie, and the first drink she ever had was a screwdriver. So I went to New York City to visit some friends. Um, I don't know why my mom let me go, but she did. I was 17, senior year. It was her gift to me, like, go to New York, visit your friends that you have there, whatever. And I had a screwdriver, and that was the first drink I'd ever had. And I remember I was like, well, I'm not in my hometown. Like, no one's going to know. And whatever, I just want to try it. And it was like the floodgates were open. It was the best feeling in the world. I was like super loosey goosey, laughing, whatever. And I was like, why did I put so much judgment on this. Like, this isn't bad. Nothing bad happened to me. I actually had a really good time. I only had one drink. I had that one drink, like vodka orange juice, and kept it moving. And I was like, cool, this is it. Like, nothing bad is happening to me. And then I came home and, I started going to parties and letting people know, like, hey, I'll drink, I don't care. But you know what? Actually, the second time I drank, I got blacked out drunk because I went from that one drink to I didn't understand how alcohol worked. I didn't understand a lot of things, but that's another story for another day because my school did not. They kept abstinence. That's all we were taught abstinence. We were never told the effects, what could happen, and that's why I'm a very big advocate of teaching kids about alcohol, about sex, because otherwise you walk into it blindly, like I did. And so I took like a bottle of vodka to the head and was like vomiting everywhere, blacked out, didn't remember half of it. And I just never learned my tolerance because I still did not understand if you drank too much, that is what causes you to black out. So, yeah, my teenage years, it was my senior year, I just went balls to the wall because I had missed out on all these parties, all these things that everyone was doing, so I just kind of went a little crazy.
So before senior year, right? I mean, listen, it all resonates with me because I think that was around the first time that I started drinking too. Like, and I want to say we weren't as fancy with the screwdrivers. I think somebody brought over like Milwaukee light or something stupid, man. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, this is so cool. But you know what I'm saying? Because I had the church background and everything too. And I didn't want to embarrass my parents. My father's a pastor. All my friends were in the church growing up. And once we moved from Florida to Virginia, like everything changed for me. Like my foundation was gone. Like my pops was working all the time. My mom was taking care of my little brother. So it just left me to kind of be like, all right, well, what do I do? You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? So of course, when you like that and you feeling unloved, which was my thing, I just kind of gravitated to the world. So
mhm.
before you even took that first drink, you're saying life was pretty good. Like what was the relationships with family? Like y'all take trips and everything?
Yeah, my family, I have two sisters, excuse me, and for the most part, I lived in Springfield, Illinois. So all of my dad's family was in Michigan, all my mom's family was in North Carolina. So it was just my family and I. I grew up with a few of my cousins who lived in my hometown and my grandma. And my grandma and grandpa were there. But we never had like big family gatherings. We never did anything like that. It was just always for Thanksgiving us, my grandma and my immediate family, like my sisters, my dad and my mom. We went to like Disney World and did some trips. Um, my I know a lot of people sometimes when they talk, they're like, especially as a black woman, they're like, oh, like did you have a bat? I'm like, no, my parents actually like they did everything for
Life
us.
was great.
Right? I was like, I really ain't got an excuse for why I went crazy because my parents did everything they could for us. They supported me, loved me, and yeah, they were good.
No doubt. So yeah, so listen, we on the same wavelength. I get it. Now let's get it pop. Senior year hits, you hit New York, you take this screwdriver, you come
Mhm.
back and you start wilding, right? Let's go through it. Let's go through it. Senior year, just take me through the drinking, the partying, you know what I'm saying? The whole nine.
Yeah, so my senior year, we had like a store across the street from my school where they never carded anybody, which was stupid because we looked like children. But I mean, I still get carded now, so I don't know what the hell they were thinking. But you could really get away with it, and um, we used to like get drinks from over there and like get cigarellos and try and be cute, whatnot. Just stupid stuff. And the first wake up call I had though, my senior year, we went to Cancun, which was a mistake. Our school took us to Cancun and they had um alcohol in the first night. They put us in the wrong rooms on accident because we were supposed to have all the alcohol taken out of our rooms, as in Mexico. I actually don't know what the rule is there right now, but it was 18 to drink there, and pretty much everyone in my class was 18, so no one was breaking the law. But we also signed a document before we left saying if you drink in Mexico, you will be expelled and you're not going to graduate. Like, it was that deep. So when we got there, everybody was kind of like, okay, so I guess we're not drinking. And the next thing I know, we're all turned, like, because they put us in the wrong rooms. So we had this alcohol and it was inclusive. So it was free. So everybody's like, yo, just drink your drinks. And then we'll put water back in here, fill it back up before we leave. Cause the next night they were like, we're going to put y'all in different rooms. So we're like, well, we got this first night in here. So let's go crazy. And we were on the 13th floor. And I remember our rooms were all like connected, but we had a curfew. And for us to get to each other's rooms, the only way you could get to them was to there was a balcony that you could like climb, but to climb over that balcony to get to the next room, it's like if you fall over, like you're falling down 13 flights of like 13 stories.
Oh, y'all was wild.
So we're all like, well, the only way we can get to the other rooms are we have to crawl on this balcony, and then we can like, go to that person's balcony if we crawl on here, but let's be careful. And I'm like, I look back and I thank the Lord that he was with us, because we were literally crawling to each other's rooms drunk on these balconies. People are standing up, dancing, acting crazy. And it would have just taken the wind for someone to fall back. And, I remember I crawled back to the room after we're all hanging out. And one of the girls in my room who she was like, if you're going to be in my room with me, she's like, you're not going to drink, you're not going to do all this stuff. Cause I came in, wasted, whatever. So then, the whole trip, everyone's still drinking, still whatever, but they did a random drug breathalyzer test. And of course, we're drunk and they're like asking us these questions. And I'm like, I don't know. So then me and a couple other students, we got in trouble. And when we came back, it was literally like, they're like, we're going to expel you. And I will say, looking back now, I'll say it is what it is. Of course I lied. Of course I I did what I had to do, because I was not gonna like, and my parents are gonna believe me, because I called my mom crying, being like, oh my God, they're trying to do whatever to me. But I just ended up having to do like, I think 75 hours of community service, something crazy that whatever. At the end of the day, my parents paid for me to go there. They were gonna let me graduate. So but yeah, so that was like one of the first like tall tale signs. It's like, you're here in Cancun, you're having a good time, like why do you have to drink, why do you need to drink? And I remember that was the first time I ever drank alone, which I really haven't told anybody, or even anybody that was there. I went to the bar by myself and was just like getting all these shots by myself. And I'm like, yo, I don't care, like I'm gonna drink regardless, like do what I want to do because I can. And not that I was a big lone time drinker, but there were many times where I would be shooting like binge drinking by myself, which made no sense. Which then I went to college and it just progressed like wildfire. Of course, we're in college, so it it just went crazy, crazy there, like crazy
The
times.
turn up was real.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned about the drinking age, like in different countries. I remember my parents. I got a little brother. It's my only sibling. We're 9 years apart, so I think I was 18, and they took us on a Disney cruise, right? And the whole time I'm like itching to get a drink. I had to wait till we hit international waters for them to serve me. The only issue was, in cruises, you got to pay with the room card, and mine was under like a child thing. So I was like, crap. So the second we got off the boat, my dad still laughs about this story to this day, right? I saw a little bar, like a tiki hut, on the way back. So my family's walking, and I'm like, oh man, I left something at the store. I'll be right back. So they keep walking, and I duck off, and I'm sitting there, and it was like 2 Coronas for $5 or something, and I bought like 4 of them. Like, yo, here's this, and I was there, like I chugged one, chugged another, and I look up, my dad's coming back, and I'm like, okay, just tipped him back. He was like, man, you almost got left, and you over here drinking, and I was like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, so it like gives us something to look back. They all say hindsight is 2020. You feel me?
Yeah.
So we laugh about it now, but that was probably one of the first times I drank by myself. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really recognize it. And I didn't really go and have the college experience. So I'm interested to see how that played out for you.
Yeah, when I went to college, I I was at the bars every night, pretty much, like that I could afford it. $3 cover. And I'm like, I don't know if I have $3 to get in. Well, I should take it back, because the first college I went to, I basically got kicked out of. It was a Christian college. I don't know why I went ahead and followed in the footsteps thinking that I anything would change, but oops, sorry, I like hit this button. I was trying to, there we go. I went to a Christian college where you're required to go to chapel, required to do all these things. And I wanted to have that party experience, but I was thinking I couldn't disappoint. I had to do this. And they basically were like, either you're going to figure this out or you're going to be kicked out. And so I left because I'm like, I want to party. I want to drink. I want to have the real experience. So I came back home, went to a community college for 3.5 years, and my eyes were open because I went to a school where, obviously the teachers aren't cussing. I had 17 people in my graduating class. Like, it was literally, I don't even know what the words are I can put to it, but it was like blinding. I just had never experienced a public school because I had been in that little bubble my whole life. And so, like, I just was like, oh my gosh, like my eyes were open, but not in a bad way. I was just like, I didn't know this was out here. Like, I missed so much because I went to this small little school and never experienced anything outside of it really. So, going to the parties in my hometown there, and what should have taken me a year and a half, I ended up being there for 3.5 years at the school, finally graduated from the community college and left my hometown and went like an hour and a half away to a state school. And then from there, that's the first time I'm living on my own. I don't have to check in with my parents. I don't have to, do anything. I'm of age. I'm 20, I think 21, 22 at that point. So, I'm like, I can do what the hell I want now. So if I want to have a bottle of vodka in my room, I can do that. If I want to bring boys over, I can do that. I can do whatever I want. So it just went like full force. I just went crazy and I was partying, doing all the things. And then I remember at one point, I don't know what brought it up. I fell asleep drunk in front of a speaker at a bar, and like, that's how blacked out I was. Like, people are partying at this huge bar and I'm passed out in front of a speaker. And I remember my friend was like, I had to leave my night to come get you and take care of you. And like, this has become too much, overwhelming. Like, it's always we have to take care of Nattalyee. And that was the first time it kind of sunk in my head, like, maybe I do have a problem. And I remember I actually looked up an AA program because I had heard, saw it on TV. That's what people do. And I was like, maybe I do have a problem. And I tried to look online, and I don't know what I looked up, but I didn't realize it, like, said it cost money or something. And I was like, well, I'm not going to pay money. Like, I don't understand what this is. I don't get what AA is. But whatever I looked up said it cost money. So I obviously did not find AA. And I just was like, forget it. This is stupid. I actually tried to go to the meeting place and I got scared. I got cold feet. So I left and I went back to my partying, did me. And I'll never forget the last day of college, when I had finished my classes, because once again, I almost did not graduate from my state school because I was messing around, and I basically had to lie my way out of it because for my student teaching, I didn't show up for half of it. I like just wasn't there. But not to be bogus, the teacher who was overseeing me was blind, like actually blind. So I was able to kind of run a game about it and um basically blame him, which was so wrong of me. And after I graduated, I walked down the aisle graduating. I had to stay and still teach because I had missed so many days. They were like, we're going to work this out with you, but you have to now stay and stay these extra weeks and work with this man because, and here I am. I lied on this man, sort of, and said that he was like, which he was kind of yelling at me, but whatever. The point is, I made up some game and I still had to show up after I lied and said all these things about him. And I was like, well, I'm sorry that this is happening. This is the only way I can get out of this school. Like, I can't stay here for another freaking however long. I'm like, it's my 7th year in college. Like, I'm over this. I don't want to be here anymore. So I lied my way out of it, which I did with a lot of stuff. And I moved to New York shortly after that. I graduated, moved to Montana for 3 months, and then I moved to New York City.
Yeah, that's dope. So you've been kind of like well traveled, even
Hmm.
through like the adversity you battling, huh?
Hmm.
So all right. So you went through that phase. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Like, when, walk me through the rock bottom, your U-turn moment. I know everybody's is different. And mine, I probably had several where I thought like you know what I'm saying? I had a problem. I know my pops at one time had walked me in the AA room when I was like 19, and it was we were probably the only two African Americans in there. I looked around, it was all older Caucasian people. I'm like, man, you know what the hell is this? You know what I'm saying? And it, Ron, I'm pretty sure my hair was crazy. I had the braids, man. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And I didn't even understand like what it was. So of course I went ahead and kept doing all the crazy wild stuff I was doing. And we talked, man. My rock bottom came with my I'm learning new language. I used to say failed suicide attempt, but I had a person correct me the other day and they said, no, you're a survived suicide attempt. I was like,
Hmm.
I like that. So that's how my rock bottom played out when I made that decision when, my Lord and Savior spoke clearly to me and was like, nah, bro, this is your second chance. Like, live it up. So walk me through like what transpired through those moves and, how did you hit that space and make that U-turn?
Yeah, so I came to New York City when I was 26 years, or excuse me, 24 years old, after finally messing around in college, doing a couple things at home. And then I really was on my own and I really learned a whole new culture here, um, the culture of brunch, which people underrate, but you basically can get drunk in the day and no one's going to judge you. Um, you have bottomless mimosas, bottomless Bellinis, whatever the case may be. And then you go out after that and you keep partying. Um, a lot of my friends are gay as I'm in theater. And so just going to a lot of gay bars and like all that culture and just being with them and going to parties and stuff. And then just me, myself, like out running these streets, trying to find a man, trying to do whatever, going on these dates and, doing the most and trying not swindle somebody, but, running the games we run. So I was out here doing that. And that lasted for about 2 years until it all just kind of came crashing down. I don't know if you know the show Glee, but I was obsessed with Glee. And Corey Monteith, he overdosed and died. And that hit me so hard that I was like, wow, here's somebody my age, like close to my age, on this show I love, and he had this problem. Like we knew about it, but I didn't know it was this deep. That this man just overdosed in a hotel room by himself with no one. I said, I don't want that to be me. So I took one of the sobriety tests that they have, I think, on the A website or somewhere, the 12 questions where they're like, you know, like, could you be an alcoholic? So my friend who was visiting me at the time, we took the quiz together. And when I was answering the questions, I was like, wait, you don't do this? Like, you don't feel this way? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I was like, you don't try to count your drinks and figure things out. You've never blacked out and all this stuff. And he's like, no. And I was just like, okay. And so I'd answered yes to 11 of the questions and he answered yes to, I think, two. And I was like, okay. So I looked into the AA thing again, got scared, and I was like, I cannot show up to this meeting. Like, I'm too young to be doing this, but I'm just gonna be dry, just not drink, figure it out. And some cool things started happening in my life. Like, I was getting, because I'm an actor, I was getting auditions. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, just like revelation moment. I stopped drinking and cool things are happening. But then the 44th day of me being sober, I moved apartments. And as if you don't know, moving for me has been hell apparently every single time. And it was literally hell. And I was like, I called my mom and I was like, well, I'm just like gonna go crazy. And I was like ready to move home. I was like, can I just have a drink? Like I was asking her permission and she's like, I don't know, like if that's what you have to do, I guess. It's up to you, not me. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna have a drink, and then I'll go back to this. And of course, did not come back to it. I was out for 9 months, back to my same old ways, acting crazy. And then I went to a friend's show. I got super wasted because I like was up for this show or something and I didn't get it. I mean, and it wasn't even like a major show. It wasn't like I was about to become famous from it. I just wanted it. I didn't get it. Before we left, I was secretly drinking in the closet. And then we got there and you had to order two drinks at this. It was like a 2 drink minimum place. Ordered two Long Island iced teas. I told everybody I'll be right back. Stepped outside, never came back. Met some random man on the street, apparently, and went God knows where with him. I remember taking a cab to, or he got us a cab to my place, and then we were there, and I woke up and half my stuff was stolen. I mean, not half, a lot of my stuff was stolen. He, and the thing is, looking back, I'm like, you stole a raggedy ass computer, but okay. He stole my computer, he stole my phone, stole my bag, like everything, and I was just like, oh my god, like thank god he did not steal my roommate's stuff. Like I like immediately like ran into the living room to see if the PlayStation and stuff was still there because my roommate had that. And I remember just like laying in bed and crying, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to like bring random people home and wake up and literally not know what happened. And now not only do I not know what happened, I'm waking up with half of my stuff gone, you know? And so I asked my roommate if I could use her phone to call my mom. I called my mom. She put money in my account so I could go buy a new phone, which was, you know, I had a, not the black market, but I basically went and bought a stolen phone. Like, you know, it was just still doing shady stuff because that's what I had to do whenever I lost my phone. I had to go buy a stolen phone from this guy I know, you know, which I'm whatever. It's not the end of the world, but I shouldn't have been doing that. And just stupid stuff to make it by. And that is when I actually finally called the AA number and I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what to do, but I just need help. And they were like, oh, there's a meeting. They're like, where are you at right now? And I told them, and they were like, oh, there's a meeting in like 15 minutes, literally down the street from you. Just go there. And I was like, okay. And I walked in there, and it was like the woman up there was saying my story. And I raised my hand at the very end, and they were like, we're out of time. So they didn't call on me. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's good they didn't call on me. But that woman who was speaking literally beeline to me and caught me. And she's like, hey, I saw you raise your hand and I'm sorry we ran out of time. But she's like, is everything okay? Like, did you want to tell me your share? And I was like, this is my first day here and I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know. And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for raising your hand. And she got me a big book, got me the sober living, like just gave me the whole new packet situation and, you know, kind of help set me up.
Yo, I appreciate you sharing that with me, man. So I don't think, we've been rocking for a couple months now, and I don't think I've heard that side of the story. So like, I'm proud of you
Thank
for
you.
doing that overcoming, because no lie, I told you, you the goat to me. Like,
Oh, you're too
nah,
kind.
it's straight up the way you carry yourself and the way that you know what I'm saying, you maneuvering, especially the sobriety community, the activism. Um, of course, I'm gonna let you tell all of that. It's just what I see, and you know what I'm saying. When I hear you speak about all the things that you genuinely care about, right? So we made it through that. Um, you know what's going on with you now. Like, let's talk about the upside. You know, your life in recovery.
Yeah. It's been amazing. The first part of my sobriety, you know, the first year, it was miserable. That was miserable. I never understood when it would get better. I would see all these people who are like, oh, my life is so much better. And I'm like, I guess I'm never gonna get on that boat because I'm 26 years old and I just did the dumbest thing in the world. Like my friends are still drinking, they're still having a good time. I'm trying to drag them to AA meetings. You know what the crazy thing is? One of my friends who I continually try to drag to an AA meeting is now in the sobriety club and like 40 days sober. It took, you know, her 7 years, but she finally is there. And I felt bad because, you know, when your crazy alcoholic friend gets sober, then everyone has to rethink what they're doing. And I had a lot of rifts within my friends because it's like I wasn't trying to come off like, oh, I'm holier than thou. But at the same time, too, I was like, if I have a problem and we're all running together, what do you think is going on with you? But as I progressed, I realized like every journey is for everyone else. Everyone is on their own. Like I can't force anybody and people will come around when they want to. You know, I within the first year, like I said, it was terrible because I was like losing my job. I couldn't figure like out how to get money and you know just stupid stuff. And you know you want to relapse. All my friends that I had made within the first 90 days relapsed. I don't know where any of them are at. I don't know if they're alive. I don't know what's going on because the 90th day that you know we were all around the 90 days and they all went out together and I happened to be like, hey, I got to get up early in the morning tomorrow, so I'm going to go home. And they all went out together and they all relapsed literally that same night together, and I have not seen any of them since. So I mean, and I tried to reach out over and over, I tried calling, but you know that is part of the program. I do pray that they're all okay, but it was hard, but now just looking at everything, I always had wanted to write a musical. I wrote a musical. I'd always wanted to write a book. I wrote a book. It's probably not an appropriate book that I should be writing, but I wrote the book regardless, and I'm going to write another one that I'm writing right now. um I wanted to, tour the United States. I've been to every state except 7, which sobriety brought me. I wanted to do all these cool musicals. I've been able to do all of that. I now am making a documentary, which I never in a million years thought I would be the filmmaker. So here I am on the other side. I raised $15,000 to do this cool film, and like, it's just been insane. It took time, but I got there. I gained a lot of weight when I got sober, and I've lost 100 pounds. Like, I love exercising. I always wanted to, be this person that I couldn't figure out how to be. I could not figure out how to be. And once I got sober, I figured it out. And when I first got sober, of course, people are like, "Oh God, whatever, she's gonna change." But now, it's literally like, I don't even know what the word is. Like, people just can't even remember old Nattalyee because it is. I stuck with it for so long.
Yeah, it's dope. Like I was trying to explain it. I know that exact feeling. It's like my name might as well be sobriety. Like it's just like my name is Jared. Like I don't think about it. That old person, like my old habits and all of that stuff is gone so
Hmm.
far behind me. You know what I mean? Yo, like that's dope. Yeah, I've been peeping a lot of the content, man. See you singing and whatnot. So, how can people find you? You know what I mean? Break it down.
Yes, you can find me at Nattalyee. That is at Nattalyee. And also, if you want to follow my social justice movement, that is at 50 Mile Run for Justice Protest. That is 50 Mile Run for Justice Protest. So you can find me there and tune in with that. And if you are in New York City, especially, we're always doing events and very cool things. And if you're a runner, definitely connect.
All right. Listen, I got one last thing to ask you. If somebody sitting at home right now or wherever they may be and they in that contemplating stage or you know what I'm saying, they trying to figure it out. That space where we once were.
Hmm.
What's one word of advice you would shoot out?
The number one thing I would say is, besides the cliche, like, don't give up. Um, I would say don't leave before you see your miracle, because had I left um before, when in that first year when it was literal hell for me, and I mean, like, sweating and like my body changing, and I gained weight and like all this crazy stuff, I wouldn't be where I am now. Like, there's a song where they're like, I almost gave up. I was right at the edge of a breakthrough, but I couldn't see it, and I used to think those were the most cliche things, but I look back now and I'm like, if I had given up during that first year where I cried every day, sat in a corner, lost a lot of friends, gained weight, ate pizza, Chinese food, like, just became, someone else, I wouldn't be where I am today now. Never in a million years would I think that I'm like on a sobriety clubhouse app, meeting my best friends, making cool new connects, and being one of the pioneers in that. Like, had you told me that 7 years ago, I'd be like, okay.
Definitely relate. Well, you know you got a supporter for life in me. I rock with you the strong way and the long way. Like this, I'm genuinely excited that we were able to do this. Once again, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and just chop it up with me. It means a
Absolutely.
lot. It means more. You know what I'm saying? It just means so much to me. Like a hell of a lot. A hell of a lot.
I love you, Jared.
I love you too, man. You know what I'm saying? That shit is mutual. Look, I appreciate you. And I thank you so much. All right.
All right.
Take it easy.
Bye.